You're listening to 10 Questions with a Teacher with Charlie Mosiat and Jack Castle.
All right, what is up, everyone? Today we are back for our 5th edition of the podcast. Today, starring Mr. Jacobs, the younger one. How's it going?
I'm doing great. Glad to be here.
Good.
This is Jack and I'm Charlie. So we have some interesting news today. All 4 boys' bathrooms have remained unlocked for the longest period of time, dating back to the founding of school by Mr. Willis in 1957.
In actual news, student parking continues to be an issue, but should improve with the seniors leaving this week.
All right, well, Jack, how are you doing today, by the way?
Doing well, you?
I'm doing good. Why don't we hop right into it? First question, Mr. Jacobs, what got you into teaching?
So I got into teaching. It's kind of an interesting thing. It's sort of, believe it or not, kind of a family business. I have, including my dad, I have 6 uncles, and basically 5 of them are involved in teaching in some way, shape, or form. And obviously, the connection with my dad, made it easy for me. So it is weirdly a family business, even though it's not a private business.
Are they all teaching history as well, or?
No, different parts: science, phys ed. Some of them are administrators, things like that. But yeah,
That's cool.
You had a brother that's a doctor too, right?
Yeah, my brother is he has his doctorate of physical therapy.
There you
So
go.
he didn't quite go with the family business, but it works for him.
And what keeps you motivated as a teacher?
Well, I guess I'll go with the standard answer. It's the students, I guess. When I was thinking about this, I can have a day where maybe I don't do a great job or a student has a tough day and we have a disagreement, but every day at the end of class, 99% of the students say thank you to me, which is very unique here. And that little thing can keep you motivated and going, and just seeing that the students appreciate what you do is a big thing.
Is that what you'd use to judge a good day from a bad?
The thing is, it doesn't matter if it's a good day or a bad day. Like 99% of the students still say thank you, regardless of how good I was, bad I was, good they were, bad they were. It's a really unique thing here in Norwell.
Yeah,
you don't get that.
A lot of politeness over here. I mean, well, I went to school in Maryland for a while, and it's actually the exact opposite. There was very few people who would say thank you to teachers, and that would get recognized way more,
Yep.
only because like a couple kids would. But it is something I definitely have noticed here as well in Norwell.
Yeah, it's a great thing, and I hope that tradition continues.
Yeah, definitely. And what would you say is the most challenging aspect of your job?
The most challenging thing for me is probably keeping students engaged.
Yeah.
There are some students that love history. There are some students that they say history is okay, and there are some students that they cannot stand to sit in a history class and listen to me drone on about Vietnam and politics and things like that. And keeping it fresh and keeping it at least lively for those students is a challenge, but it's a fun challenge.
Yeah,
There you go.
definitely. It seems like, once again, a hard challenge that every teacher faces because not everyone's interested in the same things.
Yeah,
Especially.
yeah, it's tough for everybody to get everyone into math or science or history
Definitely.
or English or whatever.
And on the topic of students, what type of student were you when you were in high school?
Well, I was a very quiet student. Did all my work. I will tell you that I did very well in my English and history classes, but I am probably the worst math and science student on the east coast of the United States. So
Top 10?
maybe the top 10. Maybe there's a little bit of wiggle room there.
A little
But
bit
yeah,
of
no,
leeway.
I think I had a pretty good idea of where my strengths were early on in my educational career.
All right. And if you were not a teacher, what would you be doing instead?
If I wasn't a teacher, before I became a teacher, very shortly before I got hired here at Norwell High School, I actually took the exam to be a state police officer.
Oh, wow.
I don't know if I would have succeeded in that role, but at least that was my check down. That was my option B. So I guess something along those lines, law enforcement, somewhere in that area.
Was that your original intent, or was it to be a teacher?
My original intent was to be a teacher, but frankly, it's kind of hard to get a teaching job, as many of you students are going to be finding out, in 5-6 years. So I always wanted to have an option, an option B, and that was my option B for a time. But I'm glad to be here and not chasing people down the 3.
Keeping the family career.
That's right.
Yeah. All right.
And kind of switching topics, what are you currently listening to? Music, podcasts, anything?
So I listen to very little music, to tell you the truth. I listen to a little bit of music while I'm at my desk. I listen to a lot of sports radio.
Yeah.
I do listen to one podcast. It happens to be from the Barstool Sports genre, so I won't go too much further than that. But,
I think everyone else knows.
Yeah. So I do like that podcast. It's quick.
Yeah.
I can listen to it on my time, but that's about it.
And it's not too boring either.
No, it's definitely interesting.
It's interesting. Yeah.
And if your life was a movie, what would be your theme song, Mr. Jacobs?
That's tough. I mean,
I'm going to go on a limb and say it's something from the 50s.
well, I do like the older genres. That stuff's not bad. I think something like Simple Man. I'm pretty simple in my tastes and things like that. I don't know. Gee, what do you think?
I could see that.
That makes a lot of sense to you.
Yes.
When do I get to flip these questions on them?
You don't.
I don't?
That's the whole purpose.
Yeah,
Okay,
we're in
yeah.
charge.
You're on. That's the hot
This is
seat
the
right
hot
there.
seat.
That's
All
the
right,
hot seat.
I got it. Okay.
And are you a school lunch or a brown bag from home type of guy?
I'm a brown bag from home kind of guy. I sometimes eat school lunch from running around. Baseball season usually produces that because
Yeah.
my time becomes a little bit more limited. But I do my best to bring something from home. I've been on a big salad kick lately.
Nothing
I've
better.
seen it.
Can't say I've ever been on one of those.
No, that's 100% accurate right there.
Yep. See,
Verified.
I don't know how much it's showing, but it's I'm on it.
You're on it.
Yeah.
That's what counts.
Yeah.
All right, on to the wild cards. So pick two of those.
I'm gonna pick two, huh?
Yep.
Okay, well.
I'll pick one and then read it out loud, and we'll go through it.
Oh, this is the one I didn't want either. This one reads, you are stranded on a desert island. What are the three things you would want to have? Well, being a big fan of The Office, I guess I'll go with my standard Dwight Schrute answer, which is iodine tablets, a NASA blanket, and I don't know, what was the third one?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't
Something-
like The Office.
Fire
You're gonna get a lot of
starter or
hate for
something.
Fire,
that.
matches, waterproof
Yeah, there you
matches.
go.
I'm gonna steal the Dwight Schrute answer for that one. I'm just hoping I'm never on a desert island. Let's put it that way.
There you go.
Nothing to keep yourself occupied
I
with
know.
that though.
Well, yeah,
You're going
no.
for straight up
Never
survival and risky there.
All right. Second one. What is my biggest pet peeve? My biggest pet peeve dealing with my students is by far when it gets to about 2:35 and all of my
Yep.
students start shuffling their papers and they start stuffing things into their backpack and they start standing up and thinking that they can start making their way to the door, outside the door, even down the hallway when it's still 2:35. That is a tremendously large pet peeve for me.
I'd say a lot of other teachers would agree with you on that
Yeah.
one there.
Right.
It's a very common occurrence every day.
The time will pass. The time will pass. I promise you that. But
2 minutes.
Fridays are probably 5 minutes before that.
I
also.
recognize that. I recognize that. But oh well, we're working on it.
Yeah.
What can you do?
Yep.
Nothing apparently. Well, that's our 10 questions, everyone. Once again, thank you for listening, Mr. Jacobs. Thank you for participating.
Follow us on Twitter at the 10 Questions Pod.
Definitely.
Comment. Give us some suggestions. We'll see you next time.
Give us feedback.
Feedback.